What do you think? No, I mean, you're so tall, but...
You get more chill.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Donica and Shelby Read. I'm Donica.
I'm Shelby.
And today we are going to talk about The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This book, let's just go out and say it. 5 stars.
5 stars.
All the way.
Like, yeah.
Undoubtedly, indubitably.
Indubitably.
Yeah, indubitably, this is a 5-star book.
It actually made both of our top 10 for 2020, so I'll link that video down below in case you missed it. But before we get into that, it's been hard to find time to film together. It's been hard. A lot of things going on. So we have not done a car chat, eat video in a minute. And I was like, these are so fun.
Mm-hmm.
1, because I get to eat. 2, it just, I'm like more chill in my car. I feel like I'm chill.
It's very chill. And then we're out, but not out. Like,
yeah,
we're in society, but we're not. So. You can see H-E-B behind us.
Oh yeah, shout out to H-E-B, not sponsored. So we did get Cracker Barrel. We are in San Antonio, which is like the closest big city to us. Mm-hmm. So once again, that's something we don't normally go to the big city, so it's just fun. It's just, these videos are all around fun. Mm-hmm. I will put in the bottom bar when the spoilers start. So right now, if you have not read this book and you just want to know our overall general thoughts or what this book's about, you are in the right place. Before we get into like the synopsis of the book, I have seen this described in various ways, but ultimately, if a book could hug you, or if a hug was in the form of a book. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
I
didn't think of another way. I didn't think of like what my little one sentence summary would be.
I mean, didn't it feel like this book, like if you're in really hard times, which 2020 and even to this day, times are hard, this book felt like just a friend just holding you and letting you cry in their arms. It's
definitely not, like, there are some books that are very mentally taxing to read, and you're like, you finish it and you're like, I need a moment. That was a hard book to read.
That's more your style of books.
Yeah, but this one, you could pick this up at any point in your life, and I would recommend if you just read a really sad book and you're like, okay, I need to refresh. What do I...
And before we go in, to describe this book, it makes you feel. It's not completely carefree. I would not say it's a completely carefree book. Like, it's going to make you feel, but in a way that ultimately makes you feel better in the end, if that makes sense.
It's very hopeful.
It's very hopeful. So this book is a fantasy. It's set in a magical world where there are certain children, it's rare, but there are children who have magic. They're magical beings. This is something that's almost frowned upon. People are scared. It's something we see in our own world. They're fearful of something, so then this prejudice begins against it. They don't understand it, so they try to shut it down. Our main character, Linus Baker, works for Daikami, which is the department in charge of magical youth. So basically, like, he's a social worker, essentially.
Yeah.
He goes around to these orphanages where a lot of these children are placed, and he makes sure that they're running properly, that the kids are taken care of. And if they're not taken care of, these orphanages get shut down, and that's his job. If he assesses that these kids are not being taken care of, the orphanage gets shut down, and essentially he'll wash his hands, and that's higher-ups problem. That's not his job. He does his job very well. He is in his 40s. He lives alone with his cat Calliope, who, when we first meet her, she is described as a thing of evil, which is hilarious.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I called it Calliope. What did you call it? It's C-A...
Well, now I don't want to say it.
Please say it, because we... Say it. I could be wrong. I'm not Webster's dictionary.
I said Calliope in my brain.
Needless
I'm
to
just
say,
going to avoid saying it in the video.
Needless to say, she was described as a thing of evil. And that's something that's really enduring about this book, is the writing is almost funny at times. Like, just to give you a little snippet of like how humorous this writing could be. I think, what page was it on? Page 15, maybe? Yeah, this is typical Linus. Like, he's been having a horrible morning, and he says he couldn't believe it was only Wednesday. And it was made worse when he realized it was actually Tuesday. So, like, this is his life. Like, just, trying to get through the day. I think a lot of us can relate. We're just trying to, like, do the grind that is life. And sometimes you just get caught up in it and you think that's all there is. And I think that book really spoke on breaking free of this rut. breaking free of your fear for a lot of things. Fear of change, fear of something you don't know. It's just so good. Not to mention beautiful characters. Characters that break your heart into a million pieces, put you back together, and by the end of the book you're crying because you don't want to let them go. I haven't felt that way about characters in a long time. Let me so basically
we didn't finish the summary yet.
So Lioness gets called by extremely upper management, which is like, it's capitalized, extremely upper management. And he gets called and he's like, what did I do wrong? What's going on? He goes and they're like, look, we've looked at your casework, we looked at your files, you are by the book, we know you can, if we give you a job, you're gonna do it with absolutely no bias, even if it means shutting down the orphanage. And they're like, we need you to go to this island. Oh, well, good luck with this pronunciation. Marsyas Island Orphanage. You need to go to this island where it's kind of off the grid. No one knows. I mean, you have to be high top level because these are where some of the most nefarious, problematic children are. They're on this island. And we think something's going down. It's not looking good over there. We need you to go stay for like 3 or 4 weeks. I can't exactly remember. And you need to tell us like what's going on. Essentially, it almost feels like they're just trying to close a chapter on this island and they just need their pawn to go and shut it down. So he gets there and
passes out.
Passes out.
Spoiler alert.
The children on this island are some of the most, and you really, if you're going to read this book, I really suggest you meet these children on your own terms. Go into it very blind. That is one of the most interesting and magical parts of the book, is the relationship between Lioness and these characters on this island. One being a man who is the master of the island, or master of the orphanage. His name is Arthur Parnassus. Arthur Parnassus. From there, you just see our main character just get his whole world turned upside down. Is it for the best? Is it good? Is it bad? What happens? Please read and find out. We highly suggest this book.
If you haven't read yet this year, this would be a great book
Starter
to start
book.
you off with, because it's a nice, easy read that's, I think, not only will it be easy to get into and just love, and then it might be the best book you've read all year, but I think then it'll make you excited to read again, because the writing is just so good. I feel like I haven't really read a book that's written like this since like I was younger. Like, it's that feeling that I got of reading those books when I was younger, and I don't know, it's just this beautiful feeling.
I think he has a new book coming out this year.
Has he had other books
I think this is his debut. I actually marked where I cried in the book, which doesn't seem like a lot, but towards the last one I had marked, I was just crying that whole rest of the book. So I didn't even mark how many times I cried. There are so many characters in this book that I would die for. All of them. I would die for anybody in this book.
Anybody out there who's trying to think, like, should you pick it up? What else is there to touch on? Just, it's centered around children and, like, just the themes of, like, adoption, children who are unwanted, and, like, what else? I don't know. It's a great book. It's
a great book.
It's about really love, found family. I didn't know that was a genre until this book.
Oh,
so now I'm going to have to go look into that.
Shelby's TBR is definitely found family for the next, that's your found family Fridays.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for the non-spoiler. We are going to jump into the spoiler part. We're going to start eating.
Spoilers all the way, nothing held back. Y'all know how we are.
Y'all don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. So we get into it, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Now, on to the spoilers. Yummy!
I love how high quality their little trays are.
Me saving the bag to use at home or something. Not me saving the Cracker Barrel bag.
Oh, there's my little grits, my southern
little like
country country people problems.
I love Cracker Barrel, especially the breakfast. And my husband does not like Cracker Barrel. But y'all, we live in South Texas. Like, we have really good Mexican food. So can you blame him for wanting tacos? Tacos, or like a really good huevos rancheros plate? I don't blame him. But Shelby and me, Shelby never lets me down. Anytime we're in San Antonio, I'm like, Cracker Barrel? And she's like, yes. Night, day, afternoon. Cracker Barrel, yes.
Also, just the vibe of Cracker Barrel is so warm and delightful.
I mean, I'm not going to say their food is like out of this world, but it does make me feel happy. That's what it's all about. I realized that I forgot my little Disney notebook at home.
The classic little...
basically where I write my notes in as I read.
It's made many appearances in our videos.
I'm going to go off what I remember, but obviously if we missed anything, y'all let us know in the comments what y'all think about this book. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm. It was. It was incredible. Love to hear if y'all have read it and cried together.
I guess what we can do is let's talk about Linus and Arthur. Let's just talk about them. Because if we...
How about we go into life chunks?
Children, we gotta talk about towards the end because I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry hard.
So you want to save that for last?
Yes.
Don't think about it yet.
I love how TJ Klune, like I said, I think it resonated with a lot of people. We all get in this comfortable way of life. I mean, this guy's 40.
Yeah.
He's in his 40s. He has a house. He has a good job.
Which, really quickly, I want to make a note. I loved that the main character and his love interest, This is not spoilers. That wouldn't have even been a spoiler. I love that, Arthur, what's the main character's name?
Linus.
I love that Linus and Arthur are older men. Mm-hmm. Because the kind of books that I like reading, they kind of talk about a lot of like teenage to like probably to like 30-year-olds, and it's just their turmoil in life. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to forget that people still have like problems and adventures past that age. Mm-hmm. And arguably that's the age where people kind of learn to kind of like slow down and appreciate the simple things. So I kind of like to hear their perspective. I just wanted to say that at the age of the characters in this book was one of the biggest wins for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I loved it. Yes, probably part of that was to say he'd made it to 40 and he was just stagnant and he was just
comfortable.
So I think that was part of it.
TJ Klune had said that. I wrote like some of his notes he had put on his like Kindle or Goodreads, but he had said there's like an old adage that's better to be seen than heard. And he had said he wrote Linus in a way that he didn't want either. He didn't want to be seen or heard. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, it just like broke my heart because he was such a good person. He didn't even know it. You know, the people at the
Arthur saw that in him.
Like almost immediately. Mm-hmm. Almost immediately, he was like.
Literally, Arthur saw his boring self, and Arthur was like, "I've never seen a human as interesting as you." And he was all boring. The
most beautiful part is like throughout the whole book, he's just being himself. Yeah, and he's constantly surprising everyone because they have this preconceived notion of what you're going to be too. Like, you're going to be a caseworker. You're here to get us. And he's constantly showing everyone like how much love his heart has, and like, and I think it was really, that's why they were so patient with him, and to let him know, hey, like Zoe, the sprite on the island, she was like very kind of trying to let him know, hey, well, what happens to these kids when the orphanage shuts down? Yeah. And he's like, well, and he's just like, oh, really? You think, like they're being patient with him because I think they could see he was not privy to what was really going on.
Yeah, I was gonna say props to the Islanders, the kids, and Zoe and Arthur for being patient with him because he represented like everything that hurt them and got them where they were. Mm-hmm. And you could tell from like the jump they were very wary of him, but they really, something that I actually wrote in my notes was that it takes a lot of vulnerability and courage to let people in. Mm-hmm. And the kids were so courageous to like accept him. I mean, they kind of had to because they didn't want to get shut down, but to be open with him. And I think they like learned by watching Arthur and like seeing like how is Arthur going to respond to him.
I was her dad, so
best dad ever.
Best book dad I've ever known.
Best book
ever
dad.
Want to know, ever could know, ever should know.
I'm so glad I read ever should. I'm so glad I read this book because guys, I'm reading some books this year with some really terrible dads.
Really, she should not be reading.
I shouldn't have even picked them up. But the dads are terrible. They could all learn a thing or two from Arthur.
Basically, what I just wrote was, he was... Linus was essentially trapped in a cage of his own making, which is sad because you see on the island, they're trapped in a cage of other people's,
Yeah.
you know, fears, and, you know, they wish they could be free.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
They were both together able to really break the cage open of, I'm telling y'all, this is why I cannot read the books Shelby reads. I'm not mentally stable. I'm not.
So we were gonna start with Arthur and why do I keep forgetting main character? Linus. Guys, I love Eleanor Oliphant. I don't know if you've read it yet.
Oh, you really will try to bring it up as much as you can. I'm starting it today or tomorrow because I just finished my other book.
What was I gonna say? Oh, Lionel and Arthur. Wow.
Linus.
Dang it. Romance done perfect. This is what I call slow burn. Not yours that takes 500 pages.
not mine. They're enemies to lovers. They have to hate each other.
This is like, they should have been enemies, but then Arthur like immediately was like, Linus is the most amazing man I've ever met. Gosh, it was so good. It was so good because you just watched both of their walls disappear and just see each other for who they are, and I don't know. Like, the love, I think love is a big part of this. Well, love is a huge part of this book. I think that it was very important that Arthur, who is, I think, kind of like, I don't know, he's not the center of the book, but I'd say he's the point of a lot of it. Like, he's the one who gets the children through everything. He's the love interest of the main character, and it's like his courage, and it's his strength, and it's his love at the end of the day that teaches Linus, that helps these kids. So I think Arthur's a huge part of it, and I think that it's so important that he is so great at loving that this book was so beautiful. And he taught the little kids how to love too, which I think is beautiful, because they could have easily been totally cold to the world, shut themselves off, and like we even see when they go to the village, they're not necessarily scared, and they don't really care what people think about them, and you know that's because Arthur taught them that way. So,
and like with Lucy, with Lucifer, oh my gosh, y'all, the way he wrote these kids, the role he picked, like how, you know, there was a gnome, it was so perfect. Like these characters, Chauncey, Shelby can't even talk about Chauncey, but Lucy, we have like a nature versus nurture. You have a child who's destined for ruin, destined for the most horrendous, evil, horrible life. I can't. Book talk over.
I know.
And you have someone who's like fighting every day. It's just so, it's so beautiful. TJ Klune, thank you for what you did. Thank you for writing this. How am I going to handle his next book? I don't think I'm mostly prepared.
It's like Arthur looked at Lucy and said, like,
I bet.
I know. Yeah. I know what the world thinks you are, and I know what you're supposed to be and what you think you're supposed to be, but I'm going to see you as, I'm just going to see you as you, and I'm going to see you as more than that.
But the spiders in his brain.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Don't even get me started with those.
Which,
he's 6. He's a little 6-year-old baby.
I don't know if he like had mental illnesses in his brain, in his mind when he was writing that, you know, TJ, but there's a lot of us that have spiders in our brain, and we just need someone to help us. And Arthur,
how many children are in the foster care system? Like, how many kids are in these systems because they have spiders in their brain to the world? Because there's things
because probably what their parents did to them, like, you know, Lucy, his father is the devil.
And it's like these children who are predisposed, like maybe they struggle with some sort of mental illness or trauma. They need someone like Arthur who's going to say, I know what you're going through, and I know you're scared, but I'm going to be here with you, and I'm going to love you no matter who you are or what you do or how you are, because everybody deserves that. Every child deserves that. And I think this book is trying to say, like, every being deserves to be loved. Even if you're Lucifer.
I loved how this book presented like the hate from the islands, because stuff like that makes me so uncomfortable. I'm just like, oh my gosh. When they were going to the island, I was like, can I handle this? And it was handled very well. And like you said, the kids were like, it's all right. Lucy was like, yeah, he tried to like put the cross on me, and he's like, it's okay, he's a butthole or whatever.
I know. You know, it was cool. That one island lady, the garden lady, who's like the mayor. I think that it was awesome because, like, when they were in that ice cream shop, and they got that terrible old man, and then the mayor steps in, and she's like, no, she makes it safe for them. Like, she creates a space for them, and she's like, so to me that showed, like, all it takes in the real world is one person to step up and say, no, like, this is not right. You are allowed here. You are loved here. And all of a sudden the kid's day was changed, you know?
That's so crazy you say that, because I literally wrote down that this book asks the question, what can I do? Because Linus was like, it almost felt like he's like, I'm only one person. I do what I'm asked. I do what I can. If it's beyond me, it's beyond me. He starts to realize, like, wow, I'm one person, but look at all the lives I can change. And it just, like, reflects into the real world. You think you're just one person, but you don't know how many lives you can change by just not staying quiet, not staying hidden, you know, doing what's right. This book, seeing Linus bloom, him wearing those
Safari
clothes, him losing weight, Sis was thriving.
You know what the worst character in this book was? Other than the ice cream old man and every single person on the island, the old lady who lived next to Linus.
I didn't hate her.
Really? She would say things to him, and I was like, I know she's just a snarky old lady, but I would get so mad. I would be like, why doesn't she mind her business?
Did you like it at the end when he was like, see you later, sucker?
Yes.
He's like, where are you going?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Who was your favorite? Well, if you can pick a favorite. Did you have a favorite magical kid? I don't know if I can pick a favorite, honestly. They all
had something. They all I really liked Talia. I liked her because she was the most hard-headed, the most stubborn, you know, the most surly. So, like, when she would hold his hand.
In those moments, remembering how young they are.
It was so funny when she, like, was, like, old and she's, like, 150. And she's like, I'm 150. And he's like, well, lucky for you. Like, I know that gnomes have to be, like, our children until they're, like, 300. I love that Linus was, like, smart. Like, they really didn't think. And one thing that I was, like, dying over, I would cry every time it would mention it. How he started understanding Gnomish and, like, the Wyvern. He started understanding Theodore. And he would just be like, I don't know when it happened, but I just know what they're saying. I'm like, oh my gosh.
You know who really hit me? Like,
who?
Might be my favorite only because Sal. I know, my eyes are starting to burn.
That poem, I am but paper.
I just think it was so... He was the hardest to win over. You know, rightfully so, everything he had gone through. I'm just glad all of the kids had Arthur. And I wish all of the kids in the world could have someone like Arthur. Because there are kids like Sal.
I cried. Probably the hardest I cried was when he got there. And he started singing the poem from memory.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Really quick, while Donica's crying, let me tell you something funny. I'm about to move into a new space, so I'm watching designer videos, like apartment people on YouTube, and this one lady moved into a studio in New York, I think, so she had no room, and she's like, and I really needed a space. I needed an office space. She's like, so you'll never guess where I put my desk. And she pans over it, and her desk is in her closet. I was like, girl, get out of that closet. Don't make me bring Arthur over here. Are we not Arthur? Lioness.
She probably needs Arthur too.
I know. It was just funny because I thought of this book when she showed her desk was in the closet.
That poem, y'all. It just coming from him. He's the biggest one of them. He's, you know, but you just, I feel like.
Have you ever had a dream?
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
It just feels like people forgot that he's just a child. To know that's how he truly feels. Like, because I'm big, because I'm tall, you think I can't still feel fear, I can't be hurt.
You know, you just said something that I think really speaks to our real world, like what happened in the book, where people forgot they were children. Like, they went to the village, no one treated them like children, they treated them like monsters. A lot of times, in the real world, that we live in today, kids who are different, whether it be for any sort of reason, people forget that they're kids. Like, people will rip that from them, and like, we see things on the news all the time where something happens to someone. Certain kids, they'll call them like a man, and they're like 15 because of who they are or like what they look like. People will try to play it off like that, no, that was a man or something, but they're like 13, 14. So that really does happen when you like make someone different than you or like other than you.
Or they're trying to, I wonder if there's a word for that, like where you're trying to, you know, there's like sexism. There is ageism. Usually it's like when for older people, you know, they're shunned because they're old. Like, oh, you can't do this because you're over the age of whatever. But yeah, like a young child, you're trying to elevate to this adult status when, you know, I think like the brain doesn't stop developing, the cortex for reason in like males until they're like 20. You know, it's like I always take things really deep and personally, and I always think about how it applies to the real world, and that's usually why it really gets to me so deeply. That's just the Pisces in me. So Sal, incredible. Lucifer, incredibly well done.
So cute.
You could tell he was a 6-year-old, but with these...
He was written well as like a little cute 6-year-old.
Really, really well. Talia, loved her, loved everything about her. Loved how she kept continuously threatening to kill him and bury him. Sis, you are right. You're a gnome after my own heart. Theodore, when he let him go into his little thing, and he gave him back the button.
His little hoard?
It was his hoard. He was writing moments that you're like looking forward to the whole book. I'm looking forward to him going into Sal's room. I'm looking forward to him seeing Theodore's hoard. And it happens, and they were well worth it. You know? Chauncey, go on ahead. Give him his time. Give him his time to shine, because that little blob was...
So, Chauncey and his dream of being a bellhop. The fact that he would...
That's the title of this video.
So, Chauncey and his dream of being a bellhop. The fact that he would, like, didn't he, when Lioness first got in his room, all of his clothes were put up, and like, everything was unpacked. I just thought that was so cute. I think one of the sweetest moments was, I loved, in the book, obviously, when people were kind to them and accepting, but when Chauncey got his bellhop hat... Because he told the man that he was like the best man he'd ever met in his life. Chauncey dreams of a world where he can get a job like anybody else, and he can just do the job that he wants to do and be happy and be good at it, and he's worked his whole life for this. Like, everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves to be what they want to be, even if they're a green blob. The way he would word things too, like he'd be like, may I do this for you, sir? Or like he would be always talking like a bellhop, and that's just so cute.
Why would you deserve this book?
I don't know. Nothing. We don't deserve it. We didn't talk about Fee. I feel Fee.
Fee.
She was a harder win also.
Yes.
Because she was a little bit cold, like, towards Lioness. Not all the way through, but it was difficult for her as well.
I mean, Fee was kind of like the big sister.
Yeah.
To everyone.
And she had Zoe. She had Zoe, which I'm so grateful for. That she had someone.
Oh. You know... how his case reports, as time went by, they got more and more. He was like, Talia is a gnome, and she, you know, like they got more and more like, I'm describing to you who these people are, why they're thriving. You cannot just come. They're people. They're children.
Oh, we didn't even talk about
what?
How Arthur's a phoenix.
Oh,
he got lost in the cellar when he was younger. He tried running his way out, but then he couldn't breathe, so he had to stop. And
see, and that's Arthur. He took trauma. He took something that he could have just said, screw the world. I'm going off. Screw y'all. But he could have done that, and it would have been rightfully so, because what was done to him. But he took it, flipped it, and was like, I'm going to take every kid that this could happen to, every kid that is deemed too dangerous, too much, and I'm going to change their lives. One person changing. And then at the end, when they got, Abominable Snow, was it a Yeti or something?
Yes.
And he was like, how old is he? Or whatever. And they were like, oh, you didn't comment on what he was. You just said, like, how is he? And I'm like, Linus, you crazy son of a bitch. What did you deserve you?
TJ, please make a sequel. I'm begging.
No, this one
Why?
is because I don't think I could handle it. I don't think I could handle saying goodbye to them one more time. I just love them. But yeah, they could go on so many more adventures. They could leave the island and like travel to like there's so much that he could do, but it was beautiful. It was beautifully done. It really was. And like with the Phoenix, everything he did was very gentle. I mean, he could have done something crazy with that Phoenix storyline. Once again, Arthur didn't hurt anybody, or he wanted to. He wanted to burn that whole village down to the ground.
I love
if
when
he
he
had
turned
to.
into the Phoenix in front of everybody.
And I think he made it known, like, I will burn this world to the ground for my kids.
I didn't cry this video, guys. I'm very
cried,
proud of myself.
I cried enough for you.
I think I've cried already like 4 or 5 times on the channel, so I'm glad that you get a moment.
Oh my gosh, for the Hunger Games May? Isn't that the one you cried
Yeah,
the most?
I think 4 of my times were up for Hunger Games May.
Is there anything you would like to add? I think I hit a lot of what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I did too. There's only one more thing.
What?
But I wrote my notes. I like that Linus was happier with the people he loved, living a simple, well, not a simple life, because obviously now he's going to be helping with the island, but the simple life with the people that he loved was so much more fulfilling and happy for him than continuing to like be in this corporate world. I think a lot of people, well, they have to be in the corporate world because that's just how they have to get by, but for some people they aspire to that because of the money, or like they want that assurance, and I think a lot of the times that's the end goal, is to just be in the, like, your life's goal is to be in the job that you want.
Yeah.
Rather than being surrounded by people that you love. And I like that this book was like, no, Linus was so much happier just being surrounded by the people that he loved, completely out of his comfort zone, completely out of like whatever he was doing, but he was happy because his life was just simple and with the people that he loved and people who loved him. And I loved that was the most important thing in this book. That's just how I hope to live my life, just simply with people that I love.
I flipped the book open and I'm just going to tell you. She glanced up at this is Talia. She glanced up at Linus as she stroked her beard, which, first of all,
awesome.
Same. You're welcome for not braining you with my shovel when I had the chance. She winced slightly when Mr. Parnassus spoke in a low gurgle sound, almost as if he were choking. It took a moment for Linus to realize he was speaking Gnomish. Talia heaved a great dramatic sigh. Sorry, Mr. Baker. I promise I won't brain you with my shovel today. Like, I love her. She was by far my favorite. I loved her.
She was amazing.
Because she was like, if you hurt anyone, I will bury you and no one will find your bones. When they went and there was like a boat and they had put that thing on the little mast and it was like, leave, we don't want your kind here. And he was with Zoe and he put, no thank you on the other side. I think that was a turning point where Zoe was like, you're not what I thought you were. You really see how brave he is. Even I was surprised time and time again how brave he was. Like when they were going into town, he was like, I can be quite assertive when I need to be. Like, he's such a little nerd, but he's like, I will pull up to you if you're going to be messing with my family. Because I think he started seeing them as his family.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that was in him. And they just, seeing those kids, like, be as brave as they were, like, it made him want to be that way, too.
We didn't even take his thumbnail. You want to hold up your biscuit? I think that about wraps it up. We've been talking for an hour. And the sun! Look at the sun!
Yeah, this is a perfect time to end the video.
Thank you so much for watching, y'all. Please let us know any of your thoughts and opinions. Did you like this book? I'm sure you did. I believe our next book talk is going to be on The Survivors by
Jane Harper?
Jane Harper. It was a book of the month pick. I'm scared. Sounds traumatic. It already sounds traumatic.
I'm actually like 2 or 3 chapters in, and I already sense something I hate. Something that's very hard for me to read, strangely, or maybe not strangely enough, but like out of everything, is like infidelity. And I already am sensing something, and it just makes me nauseated, and I hate stuff like that. I don't know why that's like the hardest thing for me to read.
Yeah. One of my anticipated reads for this year is all about infidelity. It's called The Echo Wife. And
I've been seeing a lot of people anticipating that.
It's the one where she makes a clone of herself, and the clone is cheating with her husband. So excited to read that because I'm like,
But
how are you gonna make a clone of yourself and then cheat on?
is that even? That's the same person, isn't it? You?
I'm gonna tell you what, I can kill myself. But let me find out I'm cheating with Derek. Let us know your thoughts, opinions, questions, concerns down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share if you care. We cannot wait to see you in our next video.
I hope everyone has a good day. Thank y'all for being here and
I am
watching.
but paper, brittle and thin. Alright guys, y'all take care. Bye.